Happy morning. In this video, we are going to discuss about radiation injuries. First and foremost, what are the sources of radiation and what are the possible sources of ionizing radiation and what are the circumstances by which we have been exposed to those radiation and the types of ionizing radiation and what is the exact physical property and their characteristic features and what is the permissible limit of dosage where a worker or on a common public he can be exposed during a course of time, and what are the immediate effects, delayed effects based on their dosages, and what are the changes that are happening within the body and which are the most commonly affected organs and how do they present has been discussed in detail. And in a later section, the radiation protection rules that have been framed by 1971, some salient features about that, and last, the autopsy, the postmortem examination of radioactive cadavers and how to handle them and what are the precautionary measures we need to take care before commencing the autopsy, and the post autopsy, how to dispose the viscera and other has been discussed in detail. Before going to the actual presentation of radiation injury, we need to know some of the basic units of radiation because most of the topics that has been discussed under immediate delayed effects of radiation injury, they express these numerical figures followed by these units of radiation. So first and foremost is Curie, is the unit of activity, and RAD is a radiation observed dose. It is a unit of observed dose of radiation that is equivalent to 100 ERGS per gram of observing material. And REM is nothing but a Roentgen equivalent man, is a unit of dose equivalent which it takes into an account the observed dose and the biological effect of an observed dose for a specific type of radiation under consideration. Source of radiation. Here the source of radiation, it could be of three. First and foremost, it is of naturally occurring sources. Secondly, man-made sources. Third, nuclear sources. In case of natural sources, where half of the radiations are from cosmic in origin and another half are terrestrial in origin, and even minute traces of C14 radioactive atoms are found in food, water, and in air. We daily the food we consume, the air we inhale, the water we consume. And by the geographical location, the coastal regions of India, especially Kerala and Tamil Nadu, where radioactive that are occurring from natural sources are abundant in quantity. And in case of man-made sources, either it could be of the radioactive source that has been used for treatment, and secondly the radioactive materials that have been used for industrial purposes. And in case of therapeutic, where diagnostic X-rays, the medications, the radioactive isotopes that have been used for treatment or for any diagnostic procedures, and radiotherapy or the other ways by which it has been classified as man-made sources. And in case of nuclear sources, where an industrial worker who's been working in nuclear reactors, nuclear power reactors, and exposure here is maximum due to uranium, and uranium is toxic and it can be observed through even an intact skin or by the routes of respiration and other mode of by which an individual can be manifesting signs and symptoms. And here uranium is nephrotoxic and it can cause signs and symptoms. And in nuclear sources, again, the radioactive substance that has been excreted as waste can be of three forms: gas, liquid, and solid forms. And in nuclear sources, the emitting forms of material, radioactive substances, can be divided into three: gases, liquids, and solids. And in gases, the examples are krypton, xenon, and in liquid, iodine, calcium, iron or the other examples. And in case of solid forms, plutonium is the one of the examples for solid form of radiation sources. And coming to types of ionizing radiation, and here it can be divided into alpha rays, beta, gamma, and X-rays. And here alpha rays are positively charged and they have a poor penetrating capacity, and but the ionizing capacity of the alpha rays are densely and they can cause a high localized injury. And coming to beta rays, they are negative, either negative or positively charged rays, moderately penetrating in nature. And coming to gamma rays, these electromagnetic radiations of shorter wavelength and they have a higher penetrating capacity. And in form of X-rays, they form these form of electromagnetic radiations, they exceedingly penetrating in nature and they are almost similar to gamma rays. The possible sources of injurious radiation, and these are most common 6 examples by which wherein a human being can be exposed to radiation sources and he can sustain radiation injuries, and most of them are towards medical field. And first and foremost is of diagnostic or any therapeutic radiology or any radiotherapy agents that has been used to cure a disease or a condition can cause a radiation injuries on the individual. And secondly, by usage of X-rays. Third, storage and use of any nuclear weapons. Fourth, as a result of radioisotopes, either used in industry or in medical field as a remedy to any of the curing any sort of carcinomas and other. Fifthly, towards any natural radiation sources. And sixth point, towards fallout of or to mishappen of any nuclear test where an individual or a human being can be exposed to any of the radiation injuries and he can suffer from those. And these are the factors that determine the extent of injury. And first and foremost, the dosage of radiation and the rate of radiation. Thirdly, the organs that has been exposed to the radiation. Fourth, type of radiation. Sixth, the duration of exposure. If more time or more duration where an individual being exposed, then the radiation injury will be maximum. And sixth, the transfer of energy from the object to the individual. And these are the 6 determining factors by which a damage can occur. The extent of damage can vary when there be a decrease in any of these factors, and if there be an increase, then the extent of damage will be maximum on the individual who has been exposed. The permissible dose of radiation, and here there are many numerical data we need to remember. And in university pattern we don't have a type of MCQ or a 1 mark type of questions, and instead these data may be useful when you are appearing for your pre-PG entrance examinations or any other competitive exams. These data may be handful. And the permissible limit for occupational exposure or occupational radiation dose, it is of 15 rem. And if it in case of a whole body radiation, and the permissible level is 235 rem. And if it has been breakdown into years, and 5 rem per year and 0.1 rem per week, and this is for occupational radiation exposure. And in case of persons who are involved in radiation work or who are working in nuclear reacting plants and other, where the permissible limit vary, and here those persons, the sensitive organs, the organs like gonads and blood forming organs and eye, the permissible limit is 3 rem, and per year it is 5 rads per year. for the general population, it is the tenth of the 10% of the exposure for on a general population. Then it makes it to zero point 0.5 rats. And embryos, when it been exposed to a radiation of 40 rats, and in especially during first 28 days of the embryo formation, it can suffer from serious abnormalities, and where a pregnant woman been exposed, in case where embryos of less than 28 days can result in serious congenital anomalies on birth. And if it been an exposure of greater than 1,000 rats, where it could be fatal. And based on the level of rats, the mortality is been classified, right? If it has been 600 rats, then the percentage of mortality is 50%, and if it's been 20% of mortality, the amount of rats is 200 to 500 rats. And blood changes may be noted with this lowest of the rats is 50 to 100 rats. You can able to see some significant changes in blood. The immediate effect, when an individual being exposed to a greater than 5,000 rats, then it is considered to be very high dose of exposure, and the people or the person who has been exposed may suffer from features of from nausea, vomiting, features of shock, prostration. The word prostration means complete physical exhaustion, an increase in body temperature, and features of tremor, convulsions are been associated. And if it been not treated or not been properly adequately treated, then death is inevitable, and death can occur within a period of day or two. And the other name for this manifestation is almost predominantly we are seen as manifestations are high, and this stage of disease or this stage of exposure is also known as cerebral syndrome. Immediate effect, when an individual being exposed to moderate dosage, and here the dosage limit is 800 to 5,000 rats, and here the patient who has been exposed will suffer or show signs of anorexia, nausea and vomiting, severe diarrhea due to necrosis of GIT, and there been a loss of third volume, extracellular space volume, and features of hemoconcentration will be seen, and features of shock will be seen, and death being inevitable on a period of 2 or 3 weeks. And here the cause of death is due to marrow aplasia. The immediate effect as a result of low dose radiation exposure, and here on a single exposure, when an individual being exposed to less than 800 rats, people, the individual may manifest with less severe anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and damage to hemopoietic tissues can also occur. And here white blood cells, red cells have been a primary target, and there will be a gradual decrease in number of platelets are classically seen, and during a period of survival or during the period of hospitalization, where there may be a spontaneous recovery is also possible. And in case of spontaneous recovery, where even in spite of the treatment, where after 2 to 3 weeks of manifestations of signs and symptoms, where a clinical picture of marrow aplasia is apparently seen, and based on the health status of the individual, he can recover. And if on the course of recovery the features of aplasions occur, there have been a regrowth of tissues also occur, and this phase of manifestations are more towards the blood cells and the hemopoietic system, and this phase is also known as hematological phase. Syndrome, and here Predominantly, it manifests as central nervous system, GIT, and hematological manifestations, depending upon the dose and the survival. And another unit of radiation is gray, and here 1 gray is equal to 100 centigrade, and based on centigrade, it has been classified, and which has been taken from some other textbook, and where a 50 centigrade exposure can causes fatigue, weakness, and anorexia. And if it been a case of greater than 100 centigrade exposure, can predominantly causes hematological manifestations, and they manifest as features of anemia, loss of platelets, bone marrow suppression, and bone marrow suppression obviously leads to phase of narrow aplasia. And if there been an exposure of 1000 to 3000 centigrade, destruction of GIT, features of severe diarrhea, and the features of toxemia are predominantly seen. And if in case where in a greater exposure of greater than 3000 centigrade can cause vascular damages, cerebral anoxia, hypotensive shock, and features of death can be the last terminal stage. And this is about acute radiation syndrome. And coming to the classical blood changes that have been seen, right? And blood changes are in detail. And what happens to lymphocyte where lymphopenia occurs and it doesn't return to normal, and lymphocytes are the prognostic indicator on the period of survival or period of, during the course of treatment. And features of granulocyte, initially they appear to increase, then they gradually decreases, and almost it takes a year to return to the normal values. And initially again platelets increases, and there have been a sudden dip in number of platelets on after the few days of exposure, and platelets virtually become absent after 4 weeks of exposure. And in case of red blood cells, where red blood cells are highly radiosensitive, and marrow suppressions can occur, and it can manifest as features of anemia, and even hypovolemic shock can be the other features can occur. And the late effects, where an individual has survived the phase of acute radiation on proper treatment provided, and he has survived, and in due course the late features will be seen, again purely dependent on the dose that he has been exposed and period of survival, and other determining factors will be the other factors will enhance the late manifestations. And in case of late effects, premature aging, formation of cataract, sterility, impotency can occur, fetal abnormalities in case of pregnant woman exposure, malignant diseases, genetic effects, and it can run through the family, and carcinogenic effect, and people can manifest with features of squamous cell carcinoma, bone osteosarcoma, and even leukemia can also occur. And in leukemia, where myeloid leukemia are classically seen over adults, and lymphocytic lymphoblastic type of leukemia are seen in children. And prevention, right? Prevention here decreasing the time of exposure, maintaining the distance, and health educating the workers in occupational as well as the radiation workers, and appropriate shielding devices, shielding clothes to be provided, and these are the ways by which an individual can be prevented from getting exposure to radiation. And here again, where on a periodic checkup of an industrial worker who has been exposed is again a mandatory as per radiation protection rules and other surveillance procedures of Medical Applications of Radiation Act, and periodic monitoring, and when an individual become health and where appropriate treatment and adequate rest to be provided. And coming to the radiation protection rules that has been stated in 1971, and just we discuss only the salient features of it. First and foremost, when and where we use radioactive substances, uh, it can't be used without any prior sanction from the Department of Atomic Energy, and employer who is about to engage or who is about to be exposed need to undergo a proper medical health checkup, and his medical records, a complete medical records and up to date medical records to be retained and to be preserved, and when and where it necessary it can be even taken for the further follow up and other, and monitoring the health status of the individual at frequent intervals, not greater than 12 months of intervals. Continuation of the previous radiation protection rules 1971 at hospitals where a radiotherapy or any radiological procedures where it should be carried out in a separate rooms and separate exclusive wards for the patients who has been exposed to radiation is to be treated, and while doing any performing any autopsy on a deceased where appropriate precautionary measures to be taken into care, and proper disposal of the bodies and the viscera which may contain radioactive substances. It is almost similar, but there are some extra precautionary measures to be taken by the RMP, and followed by other extra procedures regarding the handling of the deceased body as well as the viscera that has been already been exposed to radioactive substances. We need to take care of those, and we need to caution the healthcare workers who are working along with us, like PM room attendants, other technical staffs, and other co-doctors to be alerted. And here, in case a prior history will be provided, and we know from where a person who has been working, his past working history, and those we will be aware of, and we need to anticipate and we need to act upon it. Most important thing is almost all soft tissues, organs, bones of the body, they have presence of radioactive material, and here the precautionary steps to be observed and proper disposal of the radioactive contaminated viscera to be discarded properly as per the guideline. And here remember, all soft tissue organs we are about to handle as well as the bone of the body also contain radioactive material, and prior to commencement of the autopsy, where the autopsy surgeon should aware of these details, like the dose given to the patient, secondly the interval since the dose, third the residual activity of the radioactive material. And here the first and foremost, the dose given to the patient, most commonly if an individual been on medication for a procedure of radiotherapy or any other radioisotope, then the dose given to a patient can be determined and in case of an accidental, we approach as a blindfold. And third, interval since in accident again with the history, you can know the from the exposure to the time interval between the between the examination is the interval since the dose. Thirdly, the residual activity of a radioisotope within the body, and there are some three types of half-lives where radioactive half-life, secondly biological half-life of a radioactive substance, third the effective half-life, by again based on each of the radioactive material that has been exposed, the interval since then by which we can calculate the residual activity of radioactive substances within the body. Of autopsy, where a radiation safety officer who is functioning at a district level need to be informed, contacted, and here the monitoring as well as the advice need to be obtained. And here in case on the course of autopsy, where an autopsy surgeon should wear a film badge to his wrist as well as one on the trunk. Again, it is for the monitoring and it is a part of a safeguard measure. And second, he should be wearing a leaded rubber gloves while doing an autopsy. And third, while handling special vessels or where there been a necessity for any sample collection where extra care to be taken. And here in case in a container is being required, and it should be properly sealed and labeled, and it should be properly informed to the other handlers of the containers and other viscera. And prior to examination, right? Prior to an examination, right? And it is in a chain, right? Where we also required help of a pathologist and other biochemical analysis and toxicological analysis, etc. and etc. in the chain of viscera sampling and viscera sampling as well as in processing of viscera. And each and every person who is about to handle need to be informed regarding the status of the case, and it being a case of radioactive organs, and prior examining them, there should be an adequate time for decaying, and while sectioning of organs during histopathological examinations, ideally it should be delayed until isotopes have undergone adequate decay before examination. And even the crematorium personnel and in charge of crematorium and other body handlers at the graveyard and other relatives to be informed. And here again, and it is a way of health prevention, right? Health prevention, and only when we are informing them, they will be aware of the status of the disease and the exact pathological condition, and they can adopt some precautionary measures to save them from harmful radiation. Summary of the presentation: whatever the organs we handle, we need to beware of radioactive material, and we are about to expose to harmful radiation, and due course we need to take some special precautionary measures prior to handling the deceased as well as the living individual. And in course of a living individual, we need to anticipate some of the signs and symptoms, and for example, if there been a severe diarrhea and where inappropriate fluid as well as restoration of the body fluids is essential, and we need to anticipate one of the complications of radiation exposure is bone marrow aplasia, where a peripheral blood smear to be ordered, where an appropriate blood transfusion measures to be taken care, and a platelet transfusion at a later point of time is again needed, and relating to dead, where again a radioactive material and specialized precautionary measures like by wearing a film badge and wearing in a leaded rubber gloves while handling the viscera are needed. And here again the persons who are about to be in contact, the first line healthcare personnel and the other supporting staffs need to be informed to prior. And again, it is a high risk autopsy, and remember these points, it is more than sufficient. And thank you so much for your patient listening. If there have been any doubt query relating to this topic, kindly address those issues in comment section below, or address your issues in any of the description social media links that has been provided in description section. Thank you.